rest of this is not real.
No, don't follow me. Oh, stop! Stop! I'm not going to jail. Stop! Stop! Stop!
Stop what?
I don't want to be photo. Stop!
Who said I was taking photos?
You're running along. I'm scared.
Hey Elijah, say something funny for the camera.
You were scared.
Look at that bug. You want it?
No,
Eat it.
get that thing away from me!
All right, yes. There, you started off small. They're going to get bigger yet still. Right.
Say something for the camera.
This is my new friend that I found at the Real Life Museum.
In one of these houses.
All
Wow.
right, y'all ready to come on in?
That's
interesting. Burton again was a collector, so somebody gave him all these different crosses.
The
and he
devil's
put them there.
horse.
Just walk it past it.
They've probably never seen a grasshopper that big.
Say something
Yeah,
funny
it's
for the
gonna
camera.
Be bigger than that. So just finished.
That's called the devil's horseman.
No, honey, it's not. It's just somebody had it left over.
It's just a really big grasshopper.
We used to play with those. They
You don't have to. but
believe it or not, they were on
what
the.
else to do
They
with
were
it?
always at our church cemetery.
Let's go to church. Y'all ready to go sit down in church?
No.
Yeah.
I do that every Sunday anyway.
Stop running on
There are actual grades over there. Stop running around.
Man, look, it's Michael Jackson before Michael Jackson.
I'm glad y'all being loud and outside.
What is wrong with my family?
Did you want to talk about Mr. Uncle Jack?
Okay, listen.
Let's go here. Let's talk about Uncle Jack.
Listen.
Let me
All right,
get.
this is kind of an involved, long story, but I'll try to make it short. Okay, in Natchitoches, we all know where Natchitoches is, sort of North Louisiana. In the 1920s, this guy named Jackson Bryan, who was a subject planner, said he didn't think that blacks in the state or in the country were being recognized for their value. So he said, I'm going to hire a famous sculptor, which is this guy named Hans Schuler, who did a lot of work in Washington, D.C., to come up with this design, and he wanted to put it in downtown Natchitoches along the Cane River. First, there was opposition from the white community, said we don't need a statue of a black man in our community, but he persevered, he got it done, got permission to stay. They stayed there to about the 1960s when during the civil rights movement, they thought that Uncle Jack was being a little bit, having the posture of being submissive, and so they didn't care for it. So it got torn down, and it got put in a barn, it got found in a ditch, and the man who bought it, mom and dad and his daughter was getting old, and so she called it Mr. Burton and said, would you like a statue? And of course he said yes. And for years it was out there in the center, and then it got controversy maybe about 15 years ago again from being that submissive posture. But how I word is it's a work of art, and you're entitled to. Is he being polite and nice, or is he being, yes, master type of thing? Now, one thing obviously is also on the plaque right here, and so of course that's not acceptable terminology for decades itself. But anyway, we wanted it. The museum went and got it, and nobody else wanted it. And Mr. Burton said, no, we're never giving it up. And it may not stay here. If you come in another few years, it may not be here. But when LSU had a black president, of course, President Tate just recently left. He went to, I don't know where he went, somewhere up north. He didn't have a problem with it, and he had a committee come out here and design the wording and put this right here. So
Good, because it's history.
it is, but again, when you go to D.C. and you see the statue of Martin Luther King, he's not doing this.
Right.
So, on the history of sculpture and art.
History is history. Everyone has a right to know it.
Okay, this is a church, so if I were you, I'd be reverent.
1893.
Interesting.
Sit down.
Is that stained glass painted on?
So again, both of these windows are kind of funnel some air coming down here. I'm hoping y'all can feel a little bit. Alright, now this church, kids, y'all listen up. It was built like 1870, right after the Civil War by free blacks. They just got the emancipation. They had one of the first things they wanted was the freedom of religion. So they built this church. It took them a little while, but they got it together. This day about our community, this is like in St. James Parish, down the river. They got down about 100 years later in the 1970s, about 10 older ladies, and they knew they weren't going to be able to keep it up. It had hurricane damage more than one time. The steeple note flew off even during Gustav over here. And so they called Mr. Bernie and said, of course, I'll come get it. He went and got it. And then for years they've had like a reunion, family, what they call family reunions out here, and have a picnic. But we don't even get that anymore. But anyway, so it was, all that we see when we got it in 1970 was here. So this floor is obviously probably not from the 1870s, but it is from the whenever it is. And these cables kind of had to string it back together when it kind of got listed from the hurricane damage. They did have this thing or the painted glass windows. Actually, I do feel a little breeze. Y'all don't feel a little breeze?
When they were using it, they'd open the windows and let all the air. If you notice these buildings, they didn't have air conditioning. So your windows and doors were always opposite each other so the wind could blow through. And that's one of the beauties, like the dog trot house is in the middle there during the summer. The breeze, and they could work out there and shucking corn and whatever they do and get that breeze, which is better when it's open, not like a building here.
And again, anything religious that Mr. Burton was given, he put in the church. So these crosses, this is a little pre-Baptist church. These crosses are more like from that Spanish era, so that would not necessarily be that many of them. And all the Catholic emblems, whether it's Mary or this little incense burner or this little prayer kneeler, that would obviously not be in a little Baptist church. But they do have, when we put it back here, because people trip over it, this little altar call, that did come with the church. You know, at the end of a service, they'd ask you, are you saved today? Do you want to rededicate your life, or have a prayer request, and then that kind of come. Again, no electricity and no running water.
So what are the angel wings and
That was Mr. Gardner's take on it. His thing was either, in his experience, smaller rural churches, they keep it simple. Because honestly, a lot of times the people were not literate for decades. So when you're doing good, they're doing bad. Just keep it simple. You don't need all that theology. You're doing right, you're not doing good. So that was his and of course the little marble things, that's back in the Catholic Church too. That would be so.
they're seeing what?
Thanks.
Okay, let's see.
If you go to the St. Michael's in Condon, not too far, which is in St. James Parish too, you'll see those all in their little grotto in the back, their little Mary chapel.
Typically used for thanks for prayers granted.
Did it used to be just like dark in here?
I think it really was pretty much dark in here, yes.
Yeah. If they were here at night, they could use these lamps, but mostly it would be darker.
Yeah, back in that time, they didn't have electricity.
Right.
Now granted, like, this shutter's shut, and I don't think it would open that much, but they all these little things have shutters, and they would try to batten it down during the storms, and it survived. And these churches are endangered. I know there's one in Bayou Gugula. It's a little Catholic chapel, and y'all know we have other little wooden churches around like this. This again, the rest of Mr. Berman is claim endangered.
They have a couple of them in our parish, but not as old.
They wouldn't, or kind of there's some
Yeah,
down the road too.
they're wooden, but they are. I don't even think they have service anymore.
Yeah.
Kind of like family churches that they
Yeah.
just keep the ground.
Well, I'm glad your parish can keep some. Of course, we only need one. And some parishes would give them up, and then later on they wanted them back. And it was,
One of the neat things about these windows here is that they didn't want to spend the money for a stained glass.
They didn't have the money.
They didn't have the money. They did a lot of the work, of course, themselves to build it. they would paint the windows to make it like stained glass.
And they kind of keep on some of the glare in the heat.
I used to see a lot of that when I was your age. Now here they have pictures that would help, like stained glass, remind people of Bible stories. Like this is the fish that Jesus broke to give out to the crowd. Or there's the burning bush that Moses found. There's the Ten Commandments.
It's starting to fade on us, so.
And those are very, very old. They repainted the black and, the green and the red. But the pictures are very, very old.
Can you see what's that chalice right
Ten
there?
Commandments, a chalice for the communion. There's a crown of thorns over here. And so those were used to decorate. There's a chalice there.
All right, well, let's go on out. Y'all ready to move
I
on?
think this was the tree of life. Tree nuts.
Oh, I don't know, it's just over the time, somebody probably sitting there, standing there in the window, sitting in the window, and they decided to distract it while they were doing a sermon or something. They were bored.
It's just a hole in the ground, and those little moon shapes. I think that one actually is a diamond, but the other ones have moons on the doors. It tells you that it's
Treehouse.
yeah, it's not, it looks like
No,
a
that's not a
tree house.
treehouse.
That's
They
the
gonna tell you what it
smell,
is.
but it doesn't work well.
We had one of those in our parish.
Yours probably works better than this. They've been all this.
They decommissioned ours probably before I was born.
Oh, this one.
They had a team of mules.
You time your
Your
cow,
muse.
your oxen to here.
Here.
And there's those grindstones up there. Y'all see them? Grind the corn. That it really
You know
does
where
better
the-
in Louisiana just to
where the
grind
courthouse
what you want that day.
The old bank, not First Guarantee, but the one right by the courthouse. That square on the side is where they used to have
Concrete wheels, stone wheels. The other one rotates and they have grooves to grind the corn.
And corn, on a day like today, if you don't have refrigeration or even in the house, your cornmeal doesn't last.
I have a little grinder right here.
That's like a little meat grinder.
This is a corn grinder. What they do here is they take the corn off the cob. This one here. This would be something for maybe your own household. But you would put, I don't have a good cob, but you would put your cob in
I
there
see a cob right there.
and turn this, and it takes the kernels off of the cob.
Oh.
I see a cob right there. There's a spider.
Yeah.
Ugh.
See, it brings it through there and takes
So
the
what
kernels.
is this here? And you got free
Cool.
corn.
Yeah, this would be, you put your
There's some corn
outta
cobs
here.
over there in the corner, David. That may take the kernels off the cob.
Yeah, there's a spider inside the grinder.
Yeah, it's hot out here today.
Get the corn cob in
They have a little personal grinder where you just play.
All of a sudden, it got me on here. You want to explain how it works? Yeah. You hook up animals, ox, mules, to go around like a merry-go-round. It pulls this belt right here around the big wheel to make it spin
That
fast,
takes the kernels off
and
the
then
cob.
it grinds those two stones in opposite direction. You put your corn at the top, and where that window is, that's where the corn
That's all
will accumulate, and then you can have it come out on the side and put it in sacks. Ain't that cool?
Sell it. Maybe you need a permit to sell something.
Let's go
Back
by
then, you
this
didn't need
barn over
permits.
here, and you can take a picture over here.
Back then, people just needed food. They didn't care where it came from.
We'll
Burn.
stay in the shade over here. Y'all come over here. We only have one or two more things after this because I know y'all are getting sticky and hot. Y'all getting bit yet? No. Okay, good. All right.
Wagon.
See how this barn is so much different from that North Louisiana barn?
Wagon.
This is cypress. It's called
Outhouse.
split cypress, and then you put your tractor over here, and your little work area is over here. Gosh, tractor must have been small. Yeah, the tractors are small, and
Isaac, don't curse.
and you can take a picture up on the steps if you want.
So the tractors must be small.
Explain
Okay,
yourself.
everybody, you want to take
Sigma.
a picture? Come on.
I hate Isaac.
Let's gather on the step.
I hate him.
You can stand on the side if you want.
And St. Helena Steam Team, let's go.
Bales of hay and corn.
Okay, everybody on the steps for a picture.
Let's see if y'all can see inside.
Come on, Deshaun.
Excuse me.
I don't know what y'all saw.
We'll get her to take it.
Just stand on the side.
Or him. Come on, Horace. Get in it.
Y'all, all the kids, y'all get
Well,
on
one of y'all take the picture.
Prove that you can see the picture.
No, you get
I don't trust these steps.
Go down. We out.
So you gotta put the lines back in.
Okay, everybody make sure you can be seen.
Yeah, turn around, guys.
Step down one step. You got people in front of you. There you go. Jonah, we can't see you. You got to come forward. There you go. There you
Look
go.
up. You ready? 1, 2, 3.
Cheese.
Look up again. All right, got the barn too.
Good. Thank you.
All right.
I hope y'all
Let's
saw
go
something.
Look at sugar. Let's cross that little bridge and go look for
Yeah.
Oh. They suck on. Yeah, that's what a lot of kids did. They clean your teeth too. The walking bridge.
I don't trust this bridge. Okay, I'm safe. Whew.
Listen. Okay, everybody listen. Whew. I shouldn't have to say this. When he starts talking, that means gather around. This is every trip this week. This is what you'll do. You're quiet and you gather around and listen. Thank you. Then go away.
Okay. All right. This is our cane grinder. We take sugar cane out of the fields. You know what sugar cane looks like? Yeah, like bamboo. It's a grass in the grass family. So what they would do is they would stick this into the grinding wheel. This is before electricity, before steam power. You would run your cane into these big wheels. The wheels would return, and it would squeeze
That was a jet.
out of the sugar cane, and it would drip down here into a bucket. Now, what do you suppose powered this thing?
Elbow grease.
A mule.
Back in the day, they used a lot of people power and a lot of animal power. So they would stick an animal to the end of this rod, and he would walk around and around. It might be a horse or an ox even, maybe a donkey. Not a bear, not a chicken, not a pig.
Come on now.
Big, like a horse, ox, mule, donkey.
Look at Abby being stupid saying chicken.
Probably not. Yeah. Exactly.
We still do this in my parish, except they hook it up to a tractor.
Yeah. Tractors kind of replace a lot of animals. We used to have lots and lots of animals.
Man, those are some big sawhorses.
Thing was used to rotate that big wheel for the corn. Use what? bucket of cane syrup and then take it to the sugar house. So let's go over there. Originally, they would use like one pot and they would boil the cane juice. But later on, they developed one that has 3 or as many as 7 kettles. So we're going to go over here to this Jamaica thing. Here's the power. Alright. This is the sugar house. Now this would run day and night during the season. And even today that's true. But back in the day they would have a setup similar to this, where you would build a big fire on this end of the train, and then the heat from the fire would go through and then up the chimney.
That's a fresh corn on top.
All right.
More squirrels out of that thing.
So the first you would do is take your cane syrup, which is just like a sticky water, and it only has like 3 to 5% sugar in it. And you're wanting to end up with sugar crystals, right? So you can sweeten things. So they would first of all dump it in this big pot.
You put the sugar cane in here and
This
crush
would
it.
be where it was the least hot. It'd be real hot over here, not so hot, and not so very hot over here. So you begin to boil the water off, concentrate the sugar, and you would also skim any trash that you would find, bugs or cane leaves or dirt from the farm, and that's what you do here. And in this process, you would have to take the material in here and pour it into the next one. You might pour it onto a paddle like this. This way, any trash will separate, and then it would flow into this kettle. Or you might put it in a bowl like that, where it settles and drains off into the next kettle. And this kettle is hotter. It's getting thicker. And what you're going to end up with is a mixture of molasses and sugar begins to crystallize into the sugar granules as you get more and more concentrated. So after you finish this one, you go to the little pot, because there's less water, it's thicker all the time. And in here you're going to start separating your crystals from the molasses. You know what molasses is? You can buy like a molasses syrup. It's sweet, but it's dark and thick, and like beans, molasses. Some people like to put it on their pancakes and waffles. But anyway, once you finish this, you'll put it in a barrel, and that's where the sugar separates from the molasses in the final step. Now they didn't have sugar like we do, where it's all nice and white and refined. They ended up with what is called brown sugar or raw sugar. Sometimes you can find that at a restaurant, or in the kitchen. Sometimes people that bake things in the kitchen like to use. Yeah. But instead of a bowl of sugar, they would end up with a cone, a little cone that they put on the table. And if you wanted to use it, you might scrape it with a knife or a spoon or something. Scrape it into your tea or whatever you wanted to sweeten. And it was so valuable, they would lock it up at night. Because they didn't want anybody to come and take their expensive. See, the way things were back then is that materials were expensive and labor wasn't very expensive at all. Right? But nowadays, it's the opposite. It costs a lot more to hire people to do things, and materials are cheaper because they figured out how to do things. For example, if you go down to Home Depot or Lowe's, you can buy all kinds of nails. They make thousands of nails with machines at one time. Back in the day, blacksmiths would have to make each nail separate. So a nail was more valuable than they are today. But if you want to hire someone to build your house, you have to pay the people working on it a lot more. So here's your sugar.
All right, let's go on down to the kitchen and then we'll pop inside. The kitchen and the garden will be our last stop and y'all can go cool off inside, okay? So these are slave cabins. Y'all can see inside and walk inside. Yeah, after Civil War, they became sharecroppers.
I'm enjoying the tour. What about you?
It's great.
I think I'm gonna post this on my channel.
I went live a little bit for a little while there at the sugar house.
I started recording right before we went to the graveyard.
And what is this?
I'm not entirely sure.
They killed a doggy.
Excuse me.
That's a dog. That's a dog pelt.
That looks like a deer pelt.
It is because there's a deer skull right there.
It's a single-pen slave cabin, 1840, before the Civil War. But they probably lived in it as sharecroppers as well. Where did it come from? Wilhelm Plantation. After Civil War, they remained occupied by tenant farmers and sharecroppers, and finally plantation workers until the 1960s. Both of these buildings. Brought it to the museum in 1940.
Nice of them to plant some trees for some shade. It's hot out here. The Louisiana heat will kick a man's butt. You're supposed to stay with the group.
He forgot his hat. He told me.
They wanted to make sure. So also, if they didn't want to get sick, they wanted to scare the evil spirits away, so they wouldn't get sick.
Why
That's
did
what
they use?
believe.
I don't know.
Well, if you saw a door with this stuff hanging in front of it, would you go into it?
No.
Listen,
Exactly. Creepy.
what happened?
You see that horseshoe?
Good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's two ways of doing it. If they put it up like that, you catch the good luck. And if you turn it upside down, then you don't catch the bad luck. Right?
So we could turn it up like that and get good luck, but still get bad luck. Or we could turn it
Well,
that
maybe.
way.
It all depends on your viewpoint.
None of it's real anyway.
A lot of those old customs came from African and Indian traditions.
No, they don't. If they did, they would be dead. It's really old.
It was a wash tub.
It's a raccoon.
They would use that to cook with.
Frogs.
Frogs. Probably a bullfrog if it's around here.
Look at their bed. Look at the bathroom.
They killed a whole bunch of
Hey, Deshaun.
And look at the beds over there.
I'm trying to connect this to San Luis Winnie, but it still shows the outside. And San Luis Stevens.
Oh, a garden.
How tall are you?
6'5". Oh look,
He's
one of those weevils. Just for the people that can't really see it, the garden is kind of flooded. Full of bottles. One of those time things.
You know that's how they told time. Amari, come look at this clock.
Yeah, like here's a bean. They can open up and see the beans inside. Oh, yeah, she'll show them.
So much water everywhere.
I know, sorry.
Everything's seen.
Say something funny for the camera.
Ray, what, man?
I hate my brothers. Oh look, green onion. This is green onion right here. See? Completely edible. Yum yum. My favorite veggie.
Yeah, the little cherry tomatoes. Don't see them. I get one. Oh, they eat them. They probably put poison on them, and you don't have all. They do look good now, huh?
Yum yum.
Another big one. And y'all kind of peek in the kitchen. The kitchen was a modern kitchen.
Who needs the kitchen of the future when you have the kitchen of the last century?
Yeah, the good old cast iron and the heart.
Pretty sure this is a smokery. Yeah, they would light a fire there. The smoke would go up and the meat would be hanging up there and it would kill all the germs so you can store the meat for a long time.
They store their meat up in there.
It's a smokery, Elijah.
Yeah.
So you burn it and make the smoke and it kills the germs in the meat. Elijah, stop. I hope you know this is going on the internet. Isaac says Diddy Gang all the time.
That's annoying, huh?
Yep.
He called people that.
No, he calls himself that.
Oh.
He says he's the leader of the Diddy Gang.
Oh, y'all just be saying the weirdest stuff out in public. No,
No, that's something he be saying. I mind my own business. I'm just trying to make YouTube videos. I hate him and I hate him more.
That's what I make.
And that's why I hate him. Alright, where we going next? Let's follow the tour guides. Chicken coop.
You can run up in the porch and look in the doors, and oversee your child.
Cool bell.
Overseer of the plantation.
Beauty game.
Shut up, Isaac. Hey, look. It's a gourd. What is it? Oh, it's a gourd birdhouse.
Oh yeah, they did used to make board.
Gourd board.
Y'all want to go peek in there? This is you'll still see some of these houses around.
Don't like that. Just gonna get down from there.